Welcome back. You guys are watching The Feed. We're staying in Sydney. It's one of the least affordable cities in the world, and it is getting increasingly difficult to live anywhere in the city, let alone near its iconic harbour. So in Sydney, you've got to be relatively wealthy to have a harbour view.
But tonight, we're meeting people who are challenging that idea, because right now there are hundreds of public housing tenants fighting the New South Wales government to keep their multi-million-dollar views, because they believe that Australia's best-known city should be accessible to all.
Each night at 6 p.m, above Sydney's Circular Quay, a red light flashes on across the water. Inside the apartment is 89-year-old Myra Dimitriou.
It's helping the whole building. I hope to save it, because this building was purposely built for people like myself. Anything to save our Sirius, as it says.
Myra lives alone on the 10th floor of Sirius Apartments, an inner-city public housing block tucked in next to the Sydney Harbour Bridge. She's a public housing tenant with a $1 million view. She's also legally blind, suffering from macular degeneration.
It doesn't make a difference to me at all, no, because I can't see it. I'm lucky to see when there's a ship in.
After living in this area and raising a family for nearly 60 years, Myra moved here in 2008 when she became too frail to climb stairs. 2 years ago, Myra, along with more than 570 public housing tenants in Greater Millers Point, received a letter. The whole suburb was being kicked out, and the houses, along with Sirius Apartments, would be sold to fund public housing elsewhere.
Quite shocked. People were crying left, right and centre. Oh, they didn't want to move, they didn't want to do this. Department of Housing treat us like rubbish.
One by one, the 79 apartments in the Sirius Building were boarded up.
That's only about 1, 2, 3, about 4 of us. Oh, it was pretty lonely.
The state government wants Myra to move, but any change in her environment is dangerous. Last year, a fall left her hospitalised for 9 months.
I had a quadruple fractured arm, a fractured wrist, a fractured finger and 3 fractured ribs. It's really robbed me of my, get up and go. Well, I don't go out as much as I used to. I only go to places where I'm known. And it's just too difficult.
In 2014, there were 578 social housing tenants in Millers Point. Now there are 40. 86% of former government houses are vacant. 101 homes have been sold, generating more than $250 million for the New South Wales government. All around Millers Point are signs that the locals aren't giving up.
When we got the logo, it looked very motorbike style, like Hell's Angel style. And we said, geez, all the elderly people around here are going to freak out.
Local tenant Barney Gardner is leading a small but dedicated resistance to the relocation.
I'm 67 years of age and I've lived in this area, especially in this street, for 67 years of my life.
On one side of Barney Street are a string of houses built nearly a century ago for Sydney's working class, now worth millions of dollars. On the other, Barangaroo Precinct, soon to be home to Australia's most exclusive casino.
In this street there's 88 units and there's only 10 occupied, so we've got 78 empty units. It gives you an empty feeling, like the houses. I mean, because there's no community, and I think back that all the people I knew that lived here, they're supposed to be bought and turned into family homes. They're just being turned into investment properties, and that's the end of the community, I'm afraid. It's not a community,
He says those few that are left should be able to stay.
Excuse me, everyone, please. First up, we'd like to thank you all for coming, and unfortunately we've got a couple of people that are leaving us very soon.
Whilst the deadline for relocation was March 2016, some have proven hard to move.
We've been offered properties around here that are unsuitable for us.
Many here are elderly or disabled with complex needs. Some simply refuse to go.
Well, they think, that if we keep stonewalling, they'll give up. We're not going to give up. And that's how we're going to win.
My family date back to the 1860s, living and worked in Rocks and Millers Point area.
And my family's been here for 5 generations. Where they reckon the point is a bloody disgrace. Fair goes a fair go in love and more love. But by Jesus, they want to bloody well think of us down here at Millers Point.
We all love, care and respect one another, and we always have, and we band together in this community. It's so unique. And now they're destroying it piece by piece, tearing this beautiful community to pieces, and that's I'm devastated by it.
The Millers Point relocation has created debate over the future of public housing in inner city areas.
Eliminating affordable housing from Millers Point and the area around Millers Point is a very bad idea. This division of cities into very demarcated rich areas and poor areas is something that many of us would think is not desirable. In London, it's normal to require a developer to put in maybe 20 to 30% of affordable housing to get planning approval. In Sydney, the most that's ever asked of developers is 3%.
The New South Wales government says the sale of properties in Millers Point will generate $500 million overall for new social housing.
The key benefit of selling properties in Millers Point is that it will enable us to house 1,500 families who are on the waiting list. And that's one of the issues about the debate that's taken place in Millers Point. There's a group of people who have no voice in this debate, and they're the 60,000 people who are on our waiting list and desperate for accommodation.
The state government has now set aside 28 houses in the area for residents who don't want to leave.
And people have got the choice, basically. They can opt to stay in Millers Point, or if they want to move to another location, another suburb, then we'll cater for what they want.
But the government is adamant that other properties like Sirius cannot be held aside. They're just too valuable.
The sale of the Sirius Building offers the opportunity for us to house at least 500 people. That's a fantastic benefit for those people who are in desperate need on our waiting list.
When we started this, people thought we were greedy. We were asking for too much. Well, I just asked them people, if they turn around and they've got grandmothers and grandfathers, go and ask them what's happening to us is fair. Myra, she's legally blind. To take her out of there and put her somewhere strange, you don't do that. I mean, you may as well take her around the corner, take her walking stick off and spin her around. That's what it'd be like taking her out of there. It feels like we're losing, but we're still here fighting, and we're not going to give in easily because that's not our way, that's not the Australian way.
The Department of Housing is still trying to move Myra on to a new home. Till then, she's keeping her nightly vigil. Are you hoping that you will be able to stay here?
Hope against hope. That's all I can say. Yeah.
That's a really interesting one. I can actually genuinely see all sides of that one. Actually, I'd love to hear from you. Hop on Twitter. The hashtag is #TheFeedSBS. Let us know where you stand on this one, because there is lots of sides to it, and it is a complicated issue that involves money and a whole bunch of other things as well.
Absolutely. That story, though, was produced by Laura Murphy-Oates and edited by Mark Tadich.